So I decided to do a video on social anxiety because there's like millions and millions of people who have anxiety, even though there's like different types of anxiety, but you don't hear too often about people having social anxiety. I have social anxiety, and I know a few other people who have social anxiety as well, so I figured why not just make a video talking about it so like the people who don't have it, they can be aware and informed and know about this kind of stuff so that they can understand for some of the people who do have it. So a little backstory is that in the earliest part of my childhood that I remember, kindergarten and first grade, I was outgoing. Like, I had no problems making friends with people. In fact, like, I loved making friends with people. Like, I would always be the first one to run up to someone and try to play with them and be friends and stuff like that, and didn't care what other people thought. I just had fun. I was a kid. But it wasn't until like maybe third grade when things started to change, because I had a pretty troubled childhood. I had an abusive childhood, so having gone through all of the things that I went through, and then on top of that, you know how kids are cruel. So the abuse and then also being bullied growing up, it really messed with my psychological state of being. So that's how I developed it. Sorry if I start rambling. It's just that I didn't prepare. This is just kind of like just a random rant that I wanted to do real quick. Anyway, in school, being bullied and being made fun of, and then the abuse, verbal and mental and physical, it really took a toll on my self-esteem. So it made me afraid of other people, because it's like, if the closest people to you, one of the closest people to you are treating you that way and talking to you in a negative kind of way, then how can you go and trust people who you don't know? People who you've never met, who come up to you, especially when you've been bullied on top of that. So it made me really afraid of other people. It made me afraid to talk to other people. It made me afraid to socialize with other people, because I always felt like they were going to judge me the same way I was judged at home and the same way I was judged in school. So meeting people and being the same outgoing person that I once was, it was damn near impossible ever since. So I struggled a lot trying to make friends, and yeah, so it was just really a struggle trying to make friends and trying to have a normal childhood, because I was just constantly aware of everything, constantly aware of people's behaviors, the way people spoke to me. I would always worry and wonder if they're talking about me, wonder if they're making fun of me or judging me for something. Like, because sometimes when I get nervous, I stutter. And so if I would start stuttering on something, I would be terrified, wondering if they're noticing it, wondering if my hair is messed up, wondering if I broke out or something, wondering if someone's just taking notice of all of my flaws, all of the things I'm not good at. I wasn't good in math growing up, so if I answered a question or something wrong in class, I would always be terrified and wonder if I'm being judged for that from the teachers, if they think I'm stupid, if some of the classmates I had thought I was stupid because I couldn't answer certain things correctly. Like, it was just so many things that I would worry about. And like, when we had to do group presentations, like, that was the worst, because I hate public speaking. Even to this day, I hate public speaking. And then also trying to be a part of a group thing, I work best alone. I work best by myself and not with other people. So whenever we had to do group projects and get in groups, that was the worst for me. I would be one of the last people to be a part of a group because everyone else had friends in the class. And so that they would already have their groups and stuff made and formed and stuff. So I would be one of the last people where the teacher would have to put me in somebody else's group rather than me being a part of a group that I chose, like with maybe another friend or something. I rarely had friends in middle school and high school. Honestly, I rarely had friends. I can honestly say I had like maybe, I had 3 friends in all throughout my whole, well, like 3 close friends. Everyone else was pretty much like associates to me. Like I wasn't really close with them, but they were cool enough for me to, you know, like sometimes like laugh, like if they tell a joke or something and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm rambling on too much. So like whenever we had to do group projects and stuff like that, and they had to pick someone to be like the main person to speak and do the presentation for, I could never be that person because I would stutter too much. Because I also speak fast too. Like I've noticed that while talking about this kind of stuff, I've been speaking fast while talking about this stuff because it brings back so many past memories, bad memories of like that kind of stuff and embarrassing times. So like, so I could never be the person to do the speaking on projects and stuff like that because I would always fumble and stumble on words. And I would be afraid, wondering if someone was judging me for it, wondering if I'm constantly aware of how people view me, and I've also become like a people pleaser. Too much of a people pleaser. That's something I'm still trying to work on. It's because I don't want other people to judge me or to think negatively of me, so I try to always be the best that I can be so that I won't be in a situation like that. I hate any kind of conflict. People who know me or have spoken to me long enough to know how much I hate conflict. I don't like being a part of anyone else's drama, anyone else's situation, because it's like have enough to worry about with my own situations, with me having anxiety and stuff like that. I'm already too much worried about my own self and being afraid of being judged, so being put in someone else's situation that has nothing to do with me or similar things like that is just like added stress on myself. So it's like I just don't like any kind of conflict. And also, like, honestly, in college, I had a mandatory speech class. I know I'm going off topic here, going back to about the whole presentation thing, but in speech class, we had to do the group thing and do the presentations and stuff like that. And they had this option where if you didn't present, you could just turn in your written report, and they would take off, of course, obviously they would take off points for not doing the speech. But it was like, at that point, I really didn't care because I could not bring myself to do the public speaking. And the one time that I did, it went horribly, and I felt like I made a fool out of myself. Other people may have thought that it was fine or it wasn't that bad, but to me, it didn't feel right to me because I kept stuttering. And so like ever since then, I would never do the speech, and I ended up failing that class. And if you would have asked me about that years ago when I had that class, I wouldn't have admitted that. But I'm at a point now where every failed thing that you do doesn't make you a stupid person. It doesn't make you less than someone else who may have done better than you. And it's all just a learning process. So I've learned to not take every failure, everything that I feel like I failed on so hard, And I'm still trying to learn that. But yeah, so it's like having social anxiety is really crippling at times, because there's times where, like, looks can be deceiving. Most people who see me wouldn't assume that I'm as deathly afraid of socializing with people and as self-conscious and worried about what other people think of me based off how I look. Like, I have this big hair, big colorful hair, and a lot of the ways that I dress, people wouldn't assume that I'm shy. And like how people know me on social media, like on Facebook or on my Tumblr, they wouldn't assume that I'm as like scared of people as I am. Like, because it's different. It's one thing to just type out things versus being in front of someone and having to socialize with them. There's been plenty of times where I've talked to people online and I've grown like a sort of friendship with them. It's easier to talk to someone online than it is face to face, because you can't see them and they can't see you unless you just post a picture. So it's less intimidating. Yeah, it's less intimidating. So it's like a lot of times, like, I'll become friends with someone online, and then when it's time to like hang out or meet up, or they suggest we hang out or something, I'll be completely down with it at the time, because it's like I want to have friends. I want to be able to socialize and do normal things, like go out and go places and stuff like that. But then when it comes time to do the actual thing, then it's like I break out into like like full-blown anxiety, where like heart starts beating really fast. I get a shortness of breath. Might start sweating. It depends on how serious I feel at the time. And it's just really a struggle. And then like sometimes I'll just back out of hanging out with the person, or back out of doing whatever it was that we had planned on doing, because I'm afraid of me showing up and possibly making a fool out of myself, possibly doing something stupid or making myself look bad or embarrass myself, and being afraid of them looking at me and judging me and thinking that I'm an idiot because maybe I tripped over something because I'm really clumsy, or maybe I accidentally say something stupid or embarrassing. So a lot of times I'll back out of socializing with people, or in times when I do actually have the courage to go out and be social with someone, a lot of times I'm pretty quiet for most of the time. I don't really start to open up, and people don't actually get to see the me that I reveal myself to be through like internet and social media, until I get really comfortable with them to be myself, because I'm actually really goofy and funny sometimes and kind of wild, but then when I'm in person with someone who I'm not yet comfortable with, I'm just to myself off in the corner, arms crossed. Maybe I use my phone as a crutch like 95% of the time when I'm out somewhere with a lot of people who I don't know or feel comfortable around. I'll just use my phone and act like I'm doing something, or act like I'm calling someone, just to make it appear that I'm fine, make it appear that I'm not uncomfortable. And oftentimes people feel as though I'm being stuck up, because they see me not socializing, that they don't see me smiling and going around talking to people, so they'll just assume that I'm being stuck up, when that's actually not the case. I'm just really scared to make a fool out of myself. So I'll just be in the corner and just quiet, and I'm just one of those people who will observe other people to pretty much get a feel of who they are, get a feel of like if this person is somebody who I can see myself becoming comfortable with, someone who I feel as though wouldn't judge me or something like that. So it's like I'll just be off in the corner and just quiet, and if someone makes a joke or something, I'll laugh. of course, I have a sense of humor, but it's like I won't say much unless they ask me a question or something like that, or say something to me or give me a compliment or something like that. I won't really say much, and if I do bring myself to say something or try to be funny, it's really a struggle for me. It's like I'll call myself trying to be a part of the conversation, and it'll take every ounce of courage in me to say something to be funny or to seem more comfortable or to seem like I'm trying to engage with the person or people. And that'll take every ounce of courage and energy out of me, that after that, even if I said something funny and everyone started laughing, my heart will still be beating really fast, and it'll still be beating like really fast, and I'll still be sitting there trying to calm myself down, and it's like it's like my brain's constantly working, trying to think of things to say to seem like I'm sitting there comfortable, sitting there like trying to be social, seem like I'm interested in what they're saying, instead of seeming stuck up because I don't know what to say, or seeming like I'm stuck up because I'm just really quiet and not saying anything. I had to go to another room because like it started getting noisy. But I pretty much wanted to leave on this note. Like, the last thing I want to say is just about like working and jobs and stuff like that. Like, that's also pretty complicated as well. Like, when you apply for a new job and then you had to go in for the interview, like that's also really hard as well, because like you're wondering if they're gonna judge you, and if you're constantly worried about what they're gonna think of you, or if they think you're qualified enough for the job, or if you don't get the job, or if you feel like you messed up on the interview. It's like it's constantly in your mind, and you're constantly stressing over the whole situation. So it's like that's hard as well. And yeah, like there's a lot of people who deal with social anxiety and things like that. So just keep in mind that some people are really struggling with anxiety issues. So don't always just assume that if they're not talking to you, or if they're just quiet into themselves, that it means that they're not interested in you or what you have to say, or feel as though they're being stuck up, because it's not always the case. And if there's any other questions, or any kind of questions related to social anxiety or anything like that you may want to ask, you can feel free to let me know, and I can maybe make another video talking about it. And that's it. Thanks.